Okay, let's talk phones in the classroom, shall we? More and more schools across the country are banning the use of phones in classes on campus. Some educators say they disrupt learning, expose students to cyberbullying, and keep them from gaining social skills. Some parents and children say phones keep them connected. They're an additional learning tool to be used and need to be available if there's an emergency. Emily Brisse is a 9th grade teacher at a high school in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And she is joining us now this morning to talk about what her campus is doing. Emily or Mrs. Brisse, I don't like calling teachers by their first names. So thank you for joining the show. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here, or for letting me be here.
I just read the article that you wrote for Insider. The school where you teach just banned cell phones at the start of this school year. Kids now have to put their phones in numbered caddies at the beginning of class. I guess for starters, I'm curious to know how that's gone over with the students and what you've noticed since the new rules took effect.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a stretch to say that every single student's happy about it. Some of them are annoyed, right?
Yeah.
But the fact is that a very large percentage of them are relieved. It's always nice to be connected, right? To stay connected to friends, to family. That's such a massive benefit of cell phones today. But inside the classroom, they really were disrupting learning. And I think students have felt relief to have a clear policy about what every single teacher in the school is going to do about cell phones, what's expected of them, and to know that all of their peers as well are putting them away, so they're not missing out on text threads, those sorts
TikToks,
of things.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And instead they can really be invested in the classroom.
When you say that they're relieved, because when I read the article, I was surprised that was the feedback that you were getting. What's the exact testimony, if you will, that you're hearing from students? How is it helping them when it comes to learning in the classroom?
Well, I think one of the easiest ways to illustrate it is, especially for those students that really do want to learn and do want to pay attention, there is a social pressure when you see students on the left or on the right of you not engaging and instead, like sneaking their phone under the desk or that kind of thing, right? And so when all of that is put away, there just tends to be a more of a likelihood for all students to lean in and engage. And so I think that's been really great. And also students just talk about how connected they are, how many notifications they receive. And so to have an hour here and then an hour here and then an hour here where they are not connected in that way and can instead just focus on what is in front of them, I think does feel relieving for a lot of students, specifically my 9th graders.
And what about, I got to ask about parents. Has there been much pushback from parents, and particularly those who might be worried that my child won't have a phone, quick access to their cell phone in case there's an emergency at school? What are you hearing from moms and dads?
There hasn't been a lot of pushback. I think initially there was because, of course, parents want to be connected with their children. Like you said, if there's an emergency, they want to have that direct access. But one of the ways that I think that pushback has been alleviated is students do have access to their phones in between classes. They have it in the morning, they have it at lunch, they have it after school. So I think that's been enough for most parents to feel okay with that ability to check in with them sporadically and still allow them to be focused in the classroom.
Yeah. And, I also have to ask, because our cell phones, adults too, I'm guilty of it as well. We treat our cell phones like another appendage, but cell phones have been around for a while. Social media has been around for a long time. What was the straw that finally broke the camel's back for your campus, if you will, in needing to implement said rules?
I think it was just observational testimony from me and my colleagues, who saw how this was getting in the way of students' engagement and really class culture. So much of this is about creating a space where students can leave the outside world at the door, unless we need to have it come in, right? But if I'm having a discussion, I want people to be there. I want my students to be focused on what's happening and not on the vibrations in their pocket. So this sort of a move has really improved just the culture around engagement and focus, which is, of course, what we want our students to be able to do.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of schools, the ones left anyway, will probably take a page out of your book pretty soon and follow suit. Really fascinating, Miss Emily Brisse. Thanks so much for stopping by. We appreciate your insights this morning.
Great. Have a wonderful morning.
Thanks, and have a great rest of the school year.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.